Firstly, leadership and management are different. They overlap a lot, but I would say making people want to follow you towards a goal is the essence of leadership. And there are things that leaders can do that will make them effective. So, one theory to do with this is Tannenbaum and Schmidt's management continuum. It's a bit of a mouthful. But what they say is there's a sliding scale of how much control you keep as the leader and how much you give away. So the ultimate in terms of keeping control would be a tell style of leadership, where you just tell people what to do, very top down. The next option is sell. And actually, for health and safety and quality, perhaps sell is better. This is where you tell them what you want, but also why it's important. But then is what they called consult. And this is where the leader has a plan, but they say to the team, what do you think of this? Have I missed anything? Could it be made even better? And they consult the team. So the leader still decides in the end what we do, but they at least listen. Now, the next level is sharing. And this is where the leader doesn't come up with the plan. The leader joins the group, and the group jointly come up with a plan. And then finally, we've got delegating. Decide how you're going to do it and then do it. So that's delegating, quite different to sharing. And by the way, this can be applied to individuals. You can share with an individual, you can consult an individual, but it can also be applied to teams. So as a leader, it's not just tell or delegate. You've got these things in between that you can choose as your leadership style. Now, recently, 2 more things have been added to the bottom of this. We've got empowerment, which is similar to delegating, but it involves not checking. So with empowerment, you give them the task and you don't monitor, you just let them get on with it. And then finally, I'm going to use the red pen, you've got abdicating, which is bad. And abdicating is a leadership style where you give them the task, you don't monitor. But the difference between abdicating and empowerment is that with abdicating, you're not available for support either. So with empowerment, you're available for support. Now, you won't know that they need support because you're not monitoring. So they have to come to ask for support if they need it. Abdicating, you don't want to know. You're not even there. So I would add empowerment to the Tannenbaum and Schmidt list. Now, this is a great list of possible leadership styles, but it does raise the question, which one should you use when? And there's something called situational leadership that's brilliant for this. So you can look at an individual in a particular situation. So a person could be in any of these boxes depending on what the job is. And it might be that for some of them they're competent, and for some of them they're not yet competent. They could, for example, be new. And for some tasks they might be motivated, and for some tasks they may not be motivated. Now, I'm not motivated to do certain things like invoicing and filling in forms. I just don't like those. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person. I'm just not motivated by certain types of work. And everybody's like that. So we can all be in all of these boxes. And the idea is you have a different style for each of the boxes. So motivated and not competent is really new people, and they need a telling, explaining type of style. Motivated and competent, these are the stars. These are the people who you can delegate to. And in fact, if they're really motivated and really competent and they've proven that they can do that, you can move them up into the empowerment corner, and you can give them work and not even have to check anymore. Down here, you've got people who are competent but not motivated, quite a common box. And these are people who've got bored in the job, been there too long, been neglected perhaps. They're not bad people. It's management's fault that they're in this box. And the best way to get the most from these people is to involve them in your decisions, to consult them for information, basically what you might call information out. And by using their knowledge, we can motivate them. And the hope is that they will move up and become motivated after a while because we're consulting and involving them. And finally, we've got the people here, not competent, not motivated. Now, some people would say get rid of them, but I think you owe everybody at least one chance, maybe 2 or 3 before you give up on them. Remembering also it may not be their fault they're in this box. It could just be they haven't been trained, so they're not competent. Perhaps they've become demotivated because the work is too hard for them. So this is the coaching box. And what we're talking about here is explaining and encouraging and that sort of thing. And you could call it information in as opposed to information out over here. And by putting information in, the hope is that they will become motivated and more competent, and they will move up into this top right box. So we're trying to move everybody into this top right box. Even the new people, by explaining how to do the job, hopefully their competence will improve. Everybody will move across into the top right box. And that's the job of a leader, really, is to get everyone into that box. Now, in the final part of this leadership video, I want to talk about what should a leader do every day, every week, every month, and every year. Just the top 2 or 3 things. So, first of all, every day, I think a leader should do management by walking about to get a feel for what's going on. Otherwise, you hide in your office and you're out of touch. The second thing they should do is get some time to think. Because creativity is really what leaders are paid for, to think about new ideas, to think about the future. So to get perhaps half an hour or even just quarter of an hour on your own somewhere quiet to think is important for leadership. Now, what should they be doing every week? Well, I think my top things, first of all, would be to thank everybody individually at least once a week. For each person, you've got to find one thing that they've done that's good and tell them. So thank everybody once a week for a real thing they've done. And then the other thing is there should be a team meeting. The leader establishes their authority over their team by having a weekly team meeting. Now, monthly, I think there are 2 things. First of all, review progress on appraisal goals with each person. So once a year we're doing appraisals, but we don't want to just wait for a whole year to say, oh, you actually haven't done anything. So every month you should be just checking that they're getting on with it. Have they done the training? Are they being more careful about quality? Whatever their goal is, are they working towards that? The other thing that I would do every month is a motivation review. Just think about each person. Are they happy? Have they got a challenge they're working on? Have they got ownership of something? Are they learning? Just think about each person, because you don't want to neglect people until suddenly one day they're not happy and then suddenly they're going to leave and it's too late. And then finally, once a year, I think there are 3 things that you should do. One of them is to have a one-to-one performance review with every single person who reports directly to you. The second thing is to address the troops, as I call it. Address everyone. Stand on a chair and talk to everyone, not just your direct reports, but everyone, and talk to them about what's happened in the year, financial results, progress, problems, etc. And then talk about the coming year. What are your plans for the future? And then finally, a little bit of back to the floor. So this is where you spend a day or more doing some sort of frontline task. Now, this is not just for PR purposes, although it's good for PR, but it's to remind yourself what it's really like to be at the coalface. You'll learn a lot, people will talk to you about what it's really like, and you'll get lots of ideas about how things can be improved. You'll discover that a lot of the things you've been doing have not actually reached the coalface. So a day a year of back to the floor, really important for your humility and for your learning. So there we are. That is a very quick guide to leadership.